G'day and welcome back to Space Engineers Survival. We've got our ugly duckling up there, or as some people have noted, it kind of looks like a hammer, especially if you look at it like that. And we've got our solar panels doing nothing because the sun is setting. As the night is falling, I'm not super keen on going exploring. What I think we should do instead is work on expanding the base. The base has, well, a bit of a problem with space. Right now, our refinery has only one upgrade module on it, and that's because I can't get at the other ones. They're all blocked off by what we've built here. So we're going to need more space to build probably more refineries is what I'd like to do ultimately, but also at least get one refinery with the proper upgrade modules on it. And in my situation at the moment, I'm thinking 2 power upgrade modules, and power efficiency that is, and 2 yield modules. Kind of a mix between optimizing for power and getting more out of the ore that we mine. Since at the moment ore mining is pretty time consuming, I think that's important. What I'm queuing up on the production here is some plates and some girders. Most of the base that I have in mind, and I've been thinking about this for some time, is going to require placing down a lot of these light armor blocks to get the rough shape, but then I also want some catwalks in some areas, so that's why I need the girders to be able to place them. Now, do we have enough iron? I don't think we do. Let's grab... So since we don't have enough iron, let's move the iron up to number 1 priority on that one. Get the iron produced, keep producing some nickel so that when we're done, we'll hopefully, before the night is done, get 1 or maybe even 2 more solar panels finished. It'd be really nice to get 2, and if we're really lucky, 3, but I think I'm dreaming if I'm expecting that. Let's pop this silver in the refinery as well, and then it's off to work. Oh, no, it's not. One thing I want to point out before I start is that where this base is built, if we have a look at our mountain, it's sort of on the outermost point of this curve, and that means if we only dig in a little way and then we build out branching stuff on each side, there's a decent chance that we'll pop out through the surface of the mountain. I don't really want to do that, at least with the stuff that I'm building now, the industrial bits and pieces. I'd like them to be deep underground. Later on, I might want to add in some sort of observation deck, somewhere nice to hang out, that looks out over the valley. But for now, I want this stuff to be deep in the mountain. That means that this little distance that we've gone in here is probably not going to be far enough. We need a second corridor. And I do like this little corridor. I'll probably open up this space entirely in time, but I want to have another section of corridor. So that means we need to expand this out. The way I think I'll do these building segments is I'll try and cut out any of the bits where I'm just drilling out big sections of flooring or big sections of space, as I unfortunately have designed this in such a way that I cannot use a ship because I can't get it in here. It would be nice if I could, but unfortunately that's not the case. And now that I've run out of hydrogen, let's go fill that up, and then we'll have a think about how we're going to arrange this space. With the corridor, I want it to be bigger than our current corridor, so that there's a feeling of entering a new space, possibly even a higher ceiling. So, let's start off by defining the borders of this space so that we don't end up drilling out more than we need. I want this to be at least 3 blocks wide, or maybe it can still be 3 blocks wide. No, let's make this one 5 blocks wide. So we'll put a slope in the corner there and then have this still be floor that's accessible on that space. So we drill out that bit. And then how long do I want this to be? This is one other thing that happens a lot when building underground. Oh, I can't even see the piece that's stopping me. When we drill, you can see tiny little fragments of stuff appear. Those little fragments will actually stop you from building on that space. And I'm not sure I followed those very well. There's one in the center of my screen now. Oh, fell through the world. Until those disappear, you're not going to be able to place your blocks. You're also not going to be able to place blocks if you don't have steel plate, which is why I couldn't place them then, and didn't allow me to demonstrate what I wanted to. Let's go back. So, back to what I was thinking. How long do we want this corridor? We want it to be long enough that we can expand out sideways without popping out of the mountain. And there we go. That was a little piece, and you can see that little piece rolling along there. I now can't place in this space until it disappears. Even though those are only graphical particles, although I don't know if they are graphics particles, they do affect your ability to build. And it can be annoying waiting for them to clear. So you think, I can't build in this space. Why can't I build in this space? And then you realize it's just because those little bits haven't cleared out of the way yet. And now they have. We can build. Something I'd like to do with this is also... I think we build one there, one there, one there. I like doing some degree of repeating patterns with my builds and then having fun trying to figure out how to integrate them with a different repeating pattern that I've done. Especially when I'm doing large areas. It makes it much quicker to design and build because you don't have to think up a new design each time. What I'm thinking I'll do here is something I've actually done in another base, which I was really happy with the result of. And that is, let's get rid of timer blocks, we don't need them, and grab the 1x2 windows. And we want inverted, I think. Let's turn off auto rotate because it's annoying. Oh no, I want the normal, because I want the tinted surface facing me. Which is the tinted surface? Now I'm confused. Yeah, that way. So what I want to do is put... What is going on? I can't tell what's going on here. Okay. Oh, that's what's happening. Don't know why it won't let me place that. What is... I've got auto-rotate off. What are you doing to me, game? Okay. It's not going to let me do that. Let's pop that there. And now it will let me place this window, I hope. No. Maybe they don't like intersections on them. Let's get rid of all of this. It's worked much easier in my head. There we go. So what I want to do is put windows in there so we can sort of get a hint of the rock behind it, but it just adds a bit of interest to the space. And I think 3 of them at a minimum is what we want for this corridor. So that's how long I want to make it before we branch off. So that means we need to drill out to at least here. And we'll need to go across from there until we get to the other side. And probably not drill so deep into the floor. So, we can then build across like so, knowing that if we go back here, we've got our start lined up from this side. I like building in this way as it helps define a space for me. If I can actually feel the space by looking around and going, yeah, that's big, that feels big, then I know I've achieved what I'm after with that space. Or if I want a space to feel tight, to feel a bit cramped or cozy, then I can do that as well. So with the floor defined, and mined out enough, I can place down these blocks so that I know exactly where it is. That makes it a lot easier for me to mine out the roof to the height that we need, which is probably 3 blocks high. If I wanted to really do this using all of the walls to define, I'd drill out I'd basically drill out a wireframe of the volume I want and place down blocks to define that wireframe. So I'll do that and then we'll come back. Okay, that's most of this space dug out. And you can get an idea of the size of this area and how much larger it'll feel than that small corridor, which should be nice, especially as we're underground. I kind of like to try and create open spaces underground. I'm not so much of a fan of feeling like a mole person. And you can also see that by defining the edges with grids, I don't end up mining out too much more than I actually need, which is really nice, as mining by hand does take a considerable amount of time, and saving what time we can is always nice. So we'll put windows eventually in those spots like so. Next, we're probably deep enough into the mountain now that we can build out to the side. The first room I'd like to try and dig out, and probably based on how long it took me to dig this out, will be the only room I'll manage to dig out tonight, will be our refinery room. What I'd ultimately love to do is to have our refinery room big enough to have at least 6 refineries in it, based on the ores that I've currently got available, which is quite a large room. And to build a doorway into that room, I need to somehow fit that into the pattern of this open corridor that I've constructed so far. That, I think, would look something like, maybe we need a few doubled up on the armored doors so that we can build it wide enough on the other side of the door that we don't see it from behind that glass. That might mean if we do it like this, actually, let's wonder if we do it the same as the other side of this door with the slopes coming in. Match it up to that. So that will look like this. Using these blocks that way. 2 of those. And then 2 like so. And then we need a half block there. Now we've got the start of our doorway, and we can expand our flooring out to match. Whoop. That can get disorientating. Go away, little stones. I want to place a block. Come on. You gone? Yeah, you're gone. Alright. That's going to be our entrance. We're now at least 30 meters from wherever that GPS marker is, which is on the door? Yeah, just above the door. So we're probably, if we look at our roof height, 18 meters into the cliff. That's a decent amount. Hopefully it'll be enough that we won't end up popping out unexpectedly somewhere. Next up, let's drill out some space so that we can get an idea of how we're going to lay out our refinery. Or at least, actually, before we even start thinking that far ahead, we need to dig out this corridor. I like underground bases to have adjoining corridors between spaces, not just spaces abutting each other. I don't really know why. I just like doing it that way. I think it makes it feel like things are further away from one another. And also, one really convenient upside of building that way is if you later want to add in conveyor systems or things like that, you've got a bit of room to hide them if you want them hidden. And building service passageways and things like that, instead of having everything right up against each other, you're very much limited in what you can do with redesigns later. And I'm a fiend for redesigns. If I think of a way to make something better while it's already in action, there's a good chance I will actually try and do it. Eventually. Or some way that I think looks better. Doesn't have to function better, it may just look better, and I go, yeah, I'll do that. I'll spend hours trying to figure out how that will work. Even though I was apparently happy with my design initially. Might make this how long between the two doors? Probably those 2 blocks, and then the next row will have the doorway into the refinery section. We'll dig that out, and we'll come back once I've finished off this little corridor section. I think this is going to be the best way for me to do this build, so that you guys can see how I'm designing it, but not have to put up with the full hour of me mining and making everyone ill with the way that I move around. Originally, I thought this little corridor would be more like the size of a small airlock. However, as I was digging it out, I thought better of that idea. With the main corridor out there, the large one, it might be nice to have enough room to create either some small storage rooms or living areas that come off it further down the corridor. And if I have this too short, I'll leave no room to put any of those little spaces on this side. If I make it big enough, I will be able to use both sides of the corridor to build those little spaces, which could be nice. And as such, this corridor is longer. And how many plates do I have left? 47. Might get a few more plates constructed in preparation for the large refinery room that we're going to need to build. Let's build another 200. Oh, we got 91 solar cells. Nice. That'll be very handy. And now we've got this and this room. For the refineries, what I think I'm going to do is build out a large room where we'll kind of enter closer to the ceiling than the floor to give a degree of three-dimensionality, so this whole base isn't just one flat area. And also, that might give us a level that is close to where we'd need to have a floor for a hangar entrance or some sort of garage entrance for our wheeled vehicles later on. I'm building this so large for one reason. I don't like having to move stuff multiple times if I can avoid it. So I would prefer to try and build this base to a scale that will be functional well into this playthrough, so that we don't have to keep rebuilding the base over and over again and moving stuff and redesign. Well, redesigning's okay, but moving all sorts of stuff and drilling out more of this space. If we can drill once and that's it, that'd be much better. Try and reduce the double handling of moving refineries and things like that. Especially as I don't think I'll even be able to get a welding ship down in here. So I'm going to have to weld most of this by hand. Speaking of welding by hand, I should really make some better tools. Let's get some better tools. We're here right now. Let's do it. I've remembered it. I'd forgotten it for such an incredibly long time. Let's get some better ones now. Production. Tools. We should... Yes, we've got silver. We'll be able to make a proficient grinder, proficient hand drill, and proficient welder. Leave those going while we continue to drill. What I've got to think about now is how large a space we actually need. I don't want to enter the room exactly at the far end of it. I like bringing things in somewhat asymmetrically, creates a bit more interest in the design, all that sort of stuff. So, in order to achieve that, I need to dig out towards the surface and deep into the mountain. The nice thing about arranging it in kind of a lengthways fashion, going in the way I'm looking right now, is that I can dig really far, if I want to, into the mountain without risking popping out into the surface. Whereas if I'd done it out this way, I'm not sure if we're still deep enough that I wouldn't have accidentally popped out. I prefer, when thinking about where I'm going to be on the surface, starting at the surface and drilling in, so that you can define the surface contours of what you're building first, rather than popping out and going, oh, this is where I am. Oh, this is totally not where I want it to be. I should have built this up one floor or down one floor or whatever. So I think 3 blocks should probably do it. Maybe one more. This can be the back wall, this row here. And like the other room, I'm going to try and define the wireframe outside of this volume before I do any real design work. And that means this will be the back wall. And we probably want to go at least one more block higher. Why don't we go 2 blocks higher? Then we can have hanging lights. Yeah, 2 blocks higher. I'd like to have lights that are hanging down from the ceiling. And that means that... And I don't like having lights directly above my head. So if, for example, stuck on that surface of this half block, I prefer having them a whole block up higher. And if I'm going to hang them, then I need a whole other block of extra space. It'll make sense once I build it. I'm sure it'll make sense. Oh, that's the other thing I need to think about. Oh no, that'll be fine. It's just thinking, I've done ridging or ribbing sort of designs in the previous rooms, so I probably want to line that up in some way, but I think it can go above the door if I do that. Do I want to... Maybe I want it either side of the door. Yeah, we'll do that. 1 further block. Design in process. That's the efficient way to do things, isn't it? Who wants a blueprint to start off with and know exactly what they're getting and know exactly what to do at every step along the way? That was all sarcastic. I really should have thought this through a bit better. But at least I'm thinking it through before I play out too much. There we go. That's the back wall. That is absolutely the back wall. And 2 blocks higher. Up here. And then the roof will be set in at this height. That goes that way. And that goes along that way. Now we've got 2 parts defined. Just need to define the floor and the far wall from the entry door. I'll drill in a bit this way to try and define that far wall. What we need between this wall and the far wall, since we're entering at a mid-level, we're going to need catwalks at this height. And maybe we'll have the catwalks go the whole way around. So we need a catwalk, probably create a gap, and then the refinery, which is 2 blocks, 1, 2. Then the refinery upgrades, which is a 3rd block. So that's going to be 4 blocks, 5 blocks out. Then the next catwalk, which is 6. So we need 6 blocks and then the far wall. So that's 1, 2. Let's drill a bit more. I can place these down. And I'm hopeless at drilling in a straight line, which is why I drill out this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the space we need. Let's just check I've got that right. I've got 1 for the catwalk, 1 for air, 2 for refinery, 1 for refinery upgrades, and then we won't have an air gap at the back. We'll just go straight to catwalk and then wall. So that's where the back wall will be. Now for floor. How deep do we need to go? Refineries are 4 blocks tall. And I want them to stick up a little bit here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to go 3 more blocks down, and then that 3rd block will be the floor. Oh dear. I'm going to have to scaffold my way out of here, because I just ran out of hydrogen down in my ditch. That's not good. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And we're out. Might leave those ramps there for the time being, just in case I do that again. And what time is it? Is it still middle of the night? Yep. Can use the moon to get an idea of where the sun's at, and it looks like it's pretty much on the opposite side of the planet still. So let's refill our hydrogen and keep on digging. Oh, got my new tools. Yeah. Ditch my old ones. Yeah, yellow drill now. So I'm going to define this box more clearly on each side and then drill out this space, and we'll come back once I've got the space drilled out so we can lay out our refinery complex. There's a fairly large hole dug in the ground. Now we can start setting up the actual equipment in here to get an idea of what else we might need to do. First off, let's get rid of the programmable block, and we need catwalk corners. We also need the refinery. I'm going to place the refinery first, as it's the largest block and it's got to sit somewhere in the middle. I might leave 2 blocks. I might leave 2 blocks between the refinery and the back wall, just in case there's other conveyor systems and things that I want to put in there. And now we can go to our second hotbar and grab our upgrade modules, which is our power and our yield. And as I said, I think I'll go 50-50 with these, since power is still going to be an issue. And so is mining. And I don't know which is a bigger issue. I'm sure I will find out, and it will go all badly because I haven't thought about it properly. But oh well. Now we need catwalk wall. That's what I want. One there, one there, one there. We'll go to our back wall where we need just the catwalk open. And then another open here. And catwalk wall again. Now, since I keep having to deal with this, I'm also going to do the catwalk stairs if it'll let me. Now, how am I going to manage to get this to work? If I start at the bottom, that should work. So I need 3 blocks. Yeah, that'll do. 1, 2, 3. There we go. With the way it builds. So now, when we walk in through our door, we'll be met with this catwalk. We can walk all the way around at this level, and I'll continue this around the back wall. We can also walk down to the floor and get down to the action level. And the only lights that I intend to put in here will be right up on the ceiling, which I think will make for a pretty interesting lighting setup for this. And I'll make them relatively dim. 1 for power and 2 for... It's a refinery area. Why would I need this to be brightly lit? It's just inefficient. There we go. Catwalks where we want them. Refinery where we want it. Figure out the conveyor system later. But I think that's a solid start for our refinery room. We can extend it for as many refineries as we like in the direction I'm looking. Over time, that's exactly what I will do. I'll figure out some... Actually, let's do it right now. What can we do with this roof? I don't like building cubes. As you know, my anti-brick stance. So what if we do this? That's what I was thinking when I was thinking about the ribbing and where that door was going to be. And how far the back wall needed to be away from it. So that those two would line up either side of the door rather than above the door. Then, if we do the same on the opposite side. 1, 2, since we've only got 2 on that side. 1, 2, and then maybe do this differently to how I often do. Normally what I do is I have the support beams sticking out above everything else. But instead, this time what I'm going to do is do the opposite. They're going to be inset. And that means going... Oops. I'm always hopeless at rotating these from this angle. 1 there, 1 there. And 1 there. 1 there. And we'll do that at each ridging line so that our support beams are kind of crossing each other. And that'll allow us to hang lights from the horizontal beams because we'll actually be able to connect stuff to them while still having an interesting pattern in the roof that's not just all flat and plain and boring. It's kind of hard to get an idea of how some of these things are going to look while they're still in wireframe without me having welded them. But I think you can get a rough idea of what that... Oh, no, you can't. Maybe. Oh, why am I going down the stairs? Let's go along this way. I think you can get a kind of idea that this will create a bit more interest in this space. Create sort of a curved archway support system. And then... this is what I have as an idea for lights. I'm not actually going to build the lights on them, but I'll place the fixings. We could use these hanging lights. However, these hanging lights do not behave as interior lights. They behave as spotlights, so we won't do that. I'm going to use interior pillars. And I don't have interior plate on me, so I'm going to go get some interior plate. And then I'm going to use pillars as our fixtures for our hanging lights and put interior lights on them so that we're still using efficiency. Oh, it's getting light out there. I should start. We're going to need to build those solar panels on, ready for the morning. Let's just quickly do these. And then we'll get our solar panels done and start thinking about what to do with the rest of our day. I might actually assign this day to be a build day. If we pop 1 there, 1 there, and then we'll leave a gap of... we won't put it on the next one. We'll leave a gap before we put another pillar down, but because we won't need that many lights. But if we have them hanging down like so, I reckon that'll look pretty good. Actually, we can place the interior lights because they'll have to be welded before they'll function. So we can pop them on the bottom like that. And these act as a pretty good vanilla hanging light. With the sun rising, we need to get our solar panels built. Maximize our output for the day. Based on my testing of the solar panels, I might want to make the ones on the roof vertical, except then I won't be able to land my ship, so we'll have to think about how to fix that. Or just deal with the inefficiency and just take it on the chin. I've been holding off on grinding these down because of safety concerns with my power supply. If this gets damaged, I lose all of it. But I've changed my mind. I'm taking the risk, and the reason I'm taking that risk is that I've now proved to myself that these horizontal ones are kind of useless. So I would much prefer to get what power I can. Oh, did I just put that on the wrong one? Oh, I did. Oh well. I gain so much more by having these work that I think it's worth taking the risk. We've got our refinery room mostly planned out. Then it'll be just figuring out how to build the connections up so that the conveyor system can be used to move everything rather than having to do it all by hand. And then deciding what to do with this wall once I remove that refinery. That's going to be interesting. Let's have a look in a control panel what our solar output is. No. That is not a control panel. That is. How is our solar output going? 1.07 megawatts. We should possibly be charging batteries? Yes! Batteries are getting charged while everything is working. Very, very slowly. Because 17 days for a recharge is ridiculous. But we are getting charged during the... Oh. Sometimes we are getting charged. I think we're still at an overall throughout the day power deficit. So each day we're using up a little bit more of our battery power. But I have an idea to get around that for a little while. When you build a battery, it does have some charge. And I want to build a bit of a battery room. And when we do that, hopefully each of those batteries will carry enough charge to offset their construction. We've got 5 cells, so let's build that last panel. Then it'll be time to start our activities for the day. Almost finished. Almost getting its maximum power. A productive night. Ready for hopefully another productive day. Up ahead, I think we may even, since we don't really need much ore, use this day to continue expanding the base and hopefully moving this mess of stuff down into that refinery area. There's that and plenty more to come. So, I'll see you then.